Generation Unlimited launched its Egyptian version, Shabab Beled. Egypt has become the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to launch a local Generation Unlimited. The milestone occasion took part in the presence of public and private sector partners at the 4th edition of the World Youth Forum. In Egypt, Generation Unlimited's public-private youth partnership model supports Egypt's 2030 National Development Vision, aligning education and training with the labor market and entrepreneurship prospects. Rania Al-Mashat, Minister of International Cooperation, said the Shabab Beled platform is a unique cooperation between international agencies represented in the United Nations and other developmental partners who support the initiative, the government, the young people, the civil society, the private sector and young people. Launched in 2018, Generation Unlimited is the first partnership between the government sector, the private sector and youth in the world, aiming to skill and connect the world's 1.8 billion young people to opportunities in employment, entrepreneurship and social engagement. The global initiative has reached 220 million young people with more than 3,000 partners working in more than 50 countries, providing youth with different career skills, employment, entrepreneurship and creating social impact. Young people from about 1/3 of Egypt's population, Shabab Beled, which translates to the country's youth, is poised to ensure that they have access to the right skills, training and opportunities for a bright future. The platform is focusing on developing the capabilities of Egyptian youth in the 4 priority areas of education, employability, entrepreneurship and engagement. Also, Mishwari program is a collaboration between UNICEF and the Egyptian Ministry of Youth and Sports. Mishwari aims to empower young people by helping them develop entrepreneurial skills in line with the Egypt Vision 2030 agenda. It is currently implemented in 12 of the country's 27 governorates. Egypt's strong vision for 2030, specifically with regards to youth education, entrepreneurship and employment, provides the basis on which the Shabab Beled platform can play an important role in supporting and motivating the progress of the country's youth. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Amer. Sir, now, when we talk about the partnerships and all these initiatives, and it's not just the PLP program, and it's not just the youth and enabling them, but also there's a role and a partnership that should be played by the public sector, the private sector, civil societies, NGOs. How can all these entities and all these parties work together to boost the chances for the youth, especially that already there would be a lot of people that might be concerned with the youth coming in and stepping in and maybe taking positions or enabling them more, giving them an upper hand and a stronger hand in making these decisions.
Yeah, of course. So you can say that we are in a time of globalization, and now we are in a time of the partnerships that happen between the public sector, the private sector, with different or international partnerships with companies and institutions from abroad. So we have a local, with the local ideas, with the international ideas. Now you can see that we can export our capacities, our capabilities to the whole world. But now you need to accompany your own ideas, your own actions here in Egypt. So we have something that it's like a think tank or a bank of ideas, a bank of solutions, a bank of actions here in Egypt. But first, you need to encourage young people, you need to encourage the Egyptian people itself in order to apply those ideas to your lives first. So if you want to have a decent life, you need to work hard, you need to get your ideas into action, you need to change your lifestyle, you need to change a lot of things. So if you are going to apply this on the ground, on a smaller scale, you have the family. So we are done with the family. So after that, we have the total society, the whole society itself. So I think we are in a good progress in this. Now you have a lot of ideas that are put into actions, real actions here officially and maybe nationally and internationally. We have a lot of dialogues, we have a lot of talks, maybe it's not only in the television but on the street itself. And this was the idea of the national dialogue itself. The national dialogue took us to another dimension that we never had this before. We have the paradigms of taking the ideas of different sections or different people from the Egyptian that were not used to listen to those people. So now you have, as I told you, as a bank of ideas, a big bank of ideas. So I think we are totally good in this.
Well, what would you say were or are the biggest sort of challenges to really enable the youth and really enable the progress of the youth of Egypt to develop into starting their own business or becoming a big part of the policy-making decisions? Is it a bureaucratic, logistical challenge, or is it a cultural challenge? Because people have been used to, well, maybe you need to be 50 or 60 years old to assume a certain post, and they can't really believe that you can be someone in your 30s or someone in your 40s and assume such an important position that involves making the big decisions that would determine the future and the fate of the whole of Egypt.
Of course. And now, for the first time, you have a young prime minister. So, Dr. Mustafa Madbili, you can consider me as a young man because I is one of the youngest prime ministers here in Egypt. But you can see it's a mixture of bureaucratic and political agendas and old political ideas. Now you have, as I told you, we have 60% of our population for young people. So you have a lot of ideas. You can take a benefit of those ideas to put them into your agenda for the future. Now you can see how it's not only the presidential leadership program, it's not only the PLP. You have a lot of programs, and even in universities, you can see a lot of smaller PLPs in universities. You can see a lot of fresh graduates who get their minds and hands. And I'm really happy that because we have a lot of volunteers from the Egyptian universities in the COP27. We have those, and when I got to talk to those young people, we got a lot of fresher and newer ideas. So turning this smaller scale into a bigger scale, you can see that we have a young prime minister, young ministers, young vice ministers, governors, and officials who are always young people. And if you are a young man, you'll have fresh mind, you'll have a fresh body as well, and you'll have a sound mind to take a sound decision. I think we are in the middle of the process. We have done this for like 8 years. It's like 8 years, and in the future you'll have the whole set of ministers for young people, maybe younger than 50 or something like that. So I believe, we are totally in this. We are in the time of young people. It's never happened before.
Well, talking about being in the time now, you've been a coordinator and an organizer of COP27 actually. And you have first-hand experience and understanding how much of an issue that climate change has been, not just in Egypt, but all over the world. You've also mentioned empowering women and the youth and young girls and families. How can we, or how do you see a combination between the women and the girls and the youth dealing with an issue such as climate change and combating them? How are we now understanding the role Egyptians, specifically the youth as well, have to play in terms of combating climate change?
I believe the COP27 was a big and very nice opportunity for young people to change their own mentality concerning dealing with the climate, because we never had that thinking before focusing on how to live a green life, how to have a green street or a green city, and so on. So I was very happy that I saw young people, girls and boys, young people who got into one platform of volunteering for their own country, getting their ideas to a bigger scale, and working for their own country, working for the whole world, because it's not only for Egypt, it's for the whole world. So those ideas, as from young people and to the whole world, I believe this was a nice opportunity to empower those young people to get their hand in action. They saw how things are done. They saw how decisions, resolutions are made and taken in a big organization like the United Nations. So you can see, and I expect we can see some familiar faces from that COP27, from the COI, as you mentioned. You can see in the forthcoming years, you can see familiar faces. Yeah, I saw that man in COP27, and you can imagine how happy you will be in the future to see your younger brother or your son who was talking about some sort of an idea, a small idea, but in the future, when he got into a nice position, when he got the opportunity to apply that little idea, it would be a silly idea back then. But now it's an action, and action is a resolution, and resolution is a total life. So we change the mentality of young people. Now you can take action, but in the past it wasn't over there.
Yes.
So,
well, talking about the mentality, it's how important is it, this mentality and the culture of volunteering and the culture of working in an NGO, something with volunteer work, something that the youth can actually partake in and have a significant, because everybody is assuming, well, if you really want to make a big change, you need to work in governmental institutions or get into the ministry or have some sort of a leading position. But having this mentality and understanding of volunteer work, working for civil societies and NGOs can play a huge role, a fundamental role in the development, empowering of youth, and for the sake of a better future and a green future for the society.
Of course, but we need to know that, all our viewers need to know that we are taking our first steps in volunteering life here in Egypt, because in the past we had that mentality that if you take an action, you need to get money and stuff. So, or exchange of it. But nowadays, or maybe I need to tell you that working in the World Youth Forum or national conferences, that's a volunteering business, that's a volunteering life. So in a volunteering life, that's away from your formal employment, away from your job, you learn new lessons, you learn new skills, capacities, you discover a lot of potentials that you did not knew that you already have them. So I think this is a new mentality here in our thinking. I'm changing my mind into a better place. I'm thinking about my capacities. I'm a translator, by the way, so I can translate. So I'm not volunteering in translation. I can volunteer in event management. I can volunteer in charity business. I can benefit my own society because of this. So we are taking our first steps in volunteering in Egypt, because we had a lot of years that we're not proud of those years, but now you can see that young people are more eager into participating in volunteering business. They know their own way into jobs and so on, but volunteering, that adds to their own skill, their mentalities, their minds, and so on. So I believe we are on the right way into making volunteer an essential part of our mind, part of our mentality.
Yes,
I believe so.
Dr. Amer, one final question, because we're running out of time now. You've been involved with the conferences, international affairs, working with youth, you've been lecturing, you've been coordinating, you've been a member of the PLP. I mean, you've been involved in this for many years now, and you've seen the sort of development that's been taking place over the years. But the question is, what's next? What do you want to see the youth achieve, or what do you want to see develop more in the near and far future? Because the time for the youth is now. Always the time for the youth is always now. So what do you want to see? And we're facing many challenges, be it internal or global and international challenges. What would you want to see the youth achieve in Egypt and
of course,
internationally?
I had that little dream of seeing in every single Egyptian university a council of young people that focuses on their own dreams issues, mentalities, capacities, potentials. We have a lot of capable young people in our Egyptian universities. And now, as a professor or as a teacher or as a trainer, I tell this to all my students. You have this in your own heart, in your own mind. You have this capacity, you have this potential. But if you have the tools that enable you, that empower you to get your ideas into ground or into action, you will be a much better person. So I believe, or my dream, that we need to put some tools to help those young people, but not after graduation. It starts with the faculty life. It starts with the university life itself. So a little council focuses on empowering young people or undergraduate students. Yes, we will have a lot of ideas, and we have a lot of actions to put into a real implementation.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Amer has mentioned, it's not just a process of enabling youth and empowering them, and realizing the potential does not only start after graduation, but it starts from the faculty life, from the university life, from the educational life, and you take it on from there, building the potential and hopefully realizing and achieving or having and obtaining more tools to enable to fulfill such potential. Over 67% of the Egyptian society is youth, and hopefully a bright and youthful future for Egypt. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my guest, Dr. Muhammad Amer, the Coordinator of International Relations and Conferences and member of the Presidential Leadership Program. Dr. Amer, it was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much. Pleasure of mine.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Night International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.